can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Wise here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders like the founders of P90X, Baby Einstein, Atari, many more, and how they overcome big challenges in life and business. Today I'm very excited. We have Ryan Lee, who I consider actually one of my early internet mentors. You may not know that. He's founder of Freedym.com, Freedym.com, which is a Netflix for lifestyle entrepreneurship. He's a former recreational therapist, gym teacher, and personal trainer. And in 1999, he started an online fitness business while living in his parents' basement and grew it into an empire that did 7 figures per month. More importantly, what I see with Ryan is, many people he's mentored have gone on to do even bigger things. So Ryan, thank you so much for joining me.
Jeremy, I am excited to be here. We're going to have a lot of fun.
A long time coming. I always like to include a couple fun facts. I think most people know pretty much everything about you because you are an open book. You write daily emails. Most people know you have 4 kids and you were a college sprinter.
Yeah.
Too. Where did you go to college and sprint?
I went to Ithaca College.
Okay.
I was a sprinter all 4 years, captain of my track team, and one of my proudest athletic achievements. I was part of the 4x1 relay, and we were 2-time state champs. We just missed All-American.
Really?
It was Division III, so let's not get excited. But we did have the school record that lasted for 17 years.
Wow, that's awesome. What's that work ethic look like? Is that where you get the early mornings? Did you have to wake up and run early? What was your?
We did. It's funny because when I ran track in college, at that time Ithaca did not have an indoor track. So during the winter, if anyone knows Ithaca, New York, it's brutally cold. Like the winters are awful. We didn't have an indoor track, so what we used to do is we used to get up really early in the morning. I used to get up, 5:30, college time, really early.
That's like, yeah.
And then we used to have to go and get in the vans and drive over to the other school, which was a few miles away, called Cornell. Cornell is the other college in Ithaca, New York, and use their indoor track. And for 4 years I did that. That taught me to get up early. Wasn't easy, but
not easy at all.
And now with 4 kids, I have no choice. I'm up early regardless whether I like it. But I'm so used to it now. Like I get up at 5:30 now without ever setting the alarm.
So how old is your youngest now?
He is about, depending when this airs. Right now, as speaking, he's about to be 7.
Okay.
So they are right now. They're 6, 8, 10, and 12. They're all about to turn 7, 9, 11.
Yeah.
7, 9, 11, 13. I lose track. It's every 2 years.
Amazing. So take me back, Ryan, to 1999 when you're in your parents' basement. What does that look like at that time?
Yeah, it wasn't pretty. It was fun though. I mean, I graduated college in '94, so I'd been working for 5 years by that time at a children's rehab hospital.
Yeah.
It was 9 to 5. I did adapted aquatics with the kids, all the recreation, the sports. I went at night. I was just 99. I finished up my master's degree in exercise physiology, so I was training clients part time. So my day was brutally long. I'd wake up really early, train a client or two, work 9 to 5 with the kids, then go train. I usually trained athletes, young athletes. I would do clinics. I'd work with tennis players, figure skaters, hockey players. And then at night, sometimes from like 7 to 9 at night, I would then take a class for my master's, go drive all the way home, which was about 45 minutes away, work on my site for a little bit, and then come back and start the next day. It was long days.
I like to highlight that because, people see you now, right? They see, he just wakes up and, right. See you now, you write in an email maybe. I mean, you talk about you'll wake up early, work for a few hours, you have that lifestyle, but it wasn't always like that. You had to build and grind for decades before getting to that place.
Oh, man. So I started in 99, kind of just messing around. This was really early. This was before.
Yeah, what did the internet even look like? It's not even easy to get a site up in 1999.
No, it was almost all text. So I didn't start out teaching people how to make money online. I was a trainer, and I trained athletes, so that's all I did. So I would write articles about speed training. Medicine balls was really big at the time, and I couldn't do any video because no one had broadband. Everything was. It was a lot of pictures, but even the pictures, Jeremy, at that time would take like 10 minutes to download. So it was a lot of text, a lot of descriptions. I made money at the beginning selling first training equipment. So I hooked up with a training company. I would sell medicine balls, and I used some free shopping cart, and then I'd have them drop ship, and I'd make $20. Some months I would do well.
You were ahead of your time. Now people are doing that on Amazon.
Oh yeah. Oh, this was way ahead of my time.
Yeah.
That's when Amazon was just a bookstore, and then people started saying, well, could you design a training program for my son? And I would charge him money, and I would start designing programs. And, for years, I kind of did this on the side. Some months I'd make $500, some months I'd make $1,000 or $2,000, and it just wasn't consistent. Fast forward a few years. I don't know how deep you want me to get into the story.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm working at the hospital. I've been there now 6 years. And on the side, I have this strength and conditioning site, and it's gaining some momentum. People are talking about it. They're like, wow, this guy's pretty cool, pretty good. Like, he's got some good stuff. I was networking with the NSCA, which is National Strength and Conditioning Association, and then a big site comes along, big sports site, and says, we want to buy your site. I'm like, really? This is right before the dot-com bust. And we negotiate, and they said, look, we're not going to give you a lot of cash, but we're going to give you, I don't remember what the salary was. I think it was like $60,000 a year, which was like more than double what I was making at the hospital. Right. I never dreamed I'd make $60,000. I'm like, well, the physical therapist maybe can make that, not a recreational therapist. They said, we'll give you 60 grand. We'll give you thousands of stock options. And I was unsophisticated. And once we go public, which is going to be, in 2 years, that'll be worth $5 million. And we'll give you just $500 in cash.
Right.
Done. Did that, left this comfortable job, went to this startup. And after 50, 60 days, boom, the dot-com bust happened. Oh. Sorry, Ryan, we're letting you and everyone else go. I'm like, what? So I had to scramble, find another job, and I got a job at a big internet publishing company called Internet.com, and they interviewed me to like, it seems like you know internet marketing. You could be our editor. Do you know HTML? I'm like, oh, of course I do. I didn't freaking have a clue. But I'm first of all, I'll figure it out. And needless to say, that lasted about 6 or 7 months. And I was in a cubicle commuting into the city, and it was like death. Every day, I took a little piece of myself die. Like getting on the train and all the guys like this, it was like zombies. It was brutal. I get that people do it and they have to do it. I totally understand. I'd rather die. I just couldn't do it. Then I see an ad in the paper, and so they let me go. I'm like, man, I need a job. I just got married, and it said,
you had just got married at the time.
I just got married. Yeah. We didn't have any kids yet. And I see one of these online bulletin boards. Hey, any runners who want to teach? Well, I was a runner. I worked with kids. All right.
Yeah.
And it was an alternative high school in the South Bronx. And they said, we're going to start health and phys ed. Do you want to be our guy to start the whole curriculum? I'm like, absolutely. So I went in, did great. But on the side, I'm like, you know what? I need to get serious about this internet stuff. So I finally launched a paid membership site. This is 2001 while I'm working at the school.
Yeah.
And things really take off from there. Now all of a sudden, first month's like 5, 6, 7,000. I'm starting selling DVDs. Oh yeah,
wow.
My buddy had cassette tapes. I'm not cassette tapes.
How are you getting the word out? How are people finding it?
Because don't forget, so after I was let go of that other site, I said I want my site back. So they gave me my site back. So I've been building this since 99, 2000, about 3 years. And I knew I studied marketing, so I was building my list, giving it really good content. And I had thousands of articles stuff. And I said, you know what? Now, if you want this, it's paid. It's like behind a paywall.
And that's also not easy to execute at the time either. What were you doing to actually collect payment at the time?
Some people were not happy either. At that time, what did I used ClickBank. And I found some like free script, and I hired some college student. So like I found online, I gave him a couple $100 and he did it. It was all this kind of jury rig kind of stuff. It was, and I was building every page with from page 98. So every page was manually done and linked. There was no program, there was no WordPress, none of that stuff. And then, so while I was at the hospital, I was at the school at that time building the site. For about 6, 7 months, it was like 5, 6, 7,000 a month. And I told my wife, look, I'm making a lot more part-time than I am full-time. If I could do this full-time and dedicate my life to it, I think maybe we can get to like 100,000 a year. Like that was the dream. And she's like, you know what? I support you. Let's do it.
Yeah. And
that was early 2002, and I've been full-time on my own, for now 15 years. And since then, for years it was all about strength and conditioning. Then other trainers like, can you teach me how to build this? I'm like, absolutely. I love talking business. And then other people like, well, if you could teach these trainers, and my trainers started having really good success, and a lot of them are like the top people on the internet now.
Yeah.
You can teach everybody. So now here I am talking to Jeremy at Inspired Insider, living in New Canaan, Connecticut with 4 kids, with a friggin', a nice house, 2 acres with a pool. I still pinch myself sometimes, but I'm very, very blessed.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan, one thing that I love when I follow your stuff is perspective, and it's a few things, right? You witnessed some really horrible things at the Children's Hospital, right? What was one of the worst things that you saw?
God, it was so. It was a children's rehab hospital.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, rehab hospital. The good thing is it's rehabilitation, so it's usually after they've been through something traumatic or had surgery. So the idea is to get them there to heal. It's not like a hospice where everyone's going there to die.
Sure.
The most shocking thing was when I first started working there, they don't use the word die. The term on the chart would be the patient expired.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyone who works in a hospital knows that's what they say. They expired.
Jeez.
It's like that was kind of
That's
chilling.
horrible. Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I was an intern there. Between my junior and senior year, I did an internship at that hospital, and they liked me so much they kept the job open for me for an entire year.
Wow.
As the adapted aquatics, I didn't even know but I remember being an intern, and one night, so I worked with the teens at that time. They were like age 12 to like 17, and there was one girl I'll never forget, Adriana. At night, and she was the sweetest girl, like 17 years old. At night, she would just cry in pain because she had something called scleroderma, and it was basically like the hardening of her arteries, her skin, and it's a fatal. And she ended up dying. But you just hear her crying in pain every night. So tough to watch. I mean, I've seen kids. I saw one kid who was a 17-year-old who was a quadriplegic because his friend's brother was drunk or high, took a gun and shot him in the face.
Wow.
Another kid who had broken legs, another little one, actually he wasn't paralyzed, but he had been shot in the face by his dad who was high. Yeah. Another kid who was thrown out of the window by his parents. One kid who was riding his bike and was hit and his whole head was, if you've ever seen a half deflated basketball, that's what his skull was.
Oh my God.
Another kid who was 17 who was a quadriplegic because in the backyard, kid from Long Island was diving. And I mean, I can go on and on.
This was a daily. I mean, this is the people you were working with. Yeah.
Every day, and I love the kids. And it's funny. I went back to the hospital maybe 8 months ago. First time back in years, in like a decade. Yeah. And I had a mastermind group and we met in a hotel. And I'm still in touch with a few people that work there. And this woman Debbie still works there. I said, I want to take my group. I have like 7 or 8 people, and come to the hospital and throw a party for the kids at night. And we did it. Wow. And one of the guys who used to be a kid when I was there,
really,
he was a teenager, came just to drive up to meet me, and now he's 35 years old, is married, has 2 kids. So it was really, really cool to see.
That's awesome.
But it's funny, it wasn't a depressing place. It was a very inspiring place because you'd see these kids, especially kids with things like cerebral palsy, spina bifida, who've had 20, 30 surgeries. I mean, they're in casts half their life. And they're working their butts off in physical therapy and working so hard and never complaining. And you see that. And I would, I'd go out the weekends with my friends, and they'd be like, "Oh man, I'm so pissed off. My car had a flat and I had to get it towed." I'm like, you know what, man? You can walk.
Right.
There's nothing to complain about. And look, everything in perspective. Yeah. But I just don't let anything bother me. Because after
seeing that
6 years, every single day, that's all I saw. It became so normal for me to see kids in wheelchairs, because that's all they were. They were all in wheelchairs. That when I'd go out and see kids like running around, it was weird. I'm like, what do you? Because I used to have I'd be in the gym and they'd say, "Okay, Ryan, this is your group," and there's 18 kids. 9 of them are in a wheelchair, 2 in a stretcher, 1 is blind, 1's a double amputee, and here's a ball. Go do an activity for an
Good
hour.
luck. Yeah.
You learn to think on your feet. You learn to get creative. And people are like, "Oh, Ryan, you're a good speaker. You think on your feet." This is easy. Ask me questions. So, but it really does put everything. Like, you know what? I do an email promo. It doesn't go that well. So what? So
puts things in perspective. And the other side of things, after you said that you obviously took over this alternative high school gym teacher, but that was like a really rough area, right? I mean, the people. What was that like?
So that was if anyone knows the So you got New York, New York City, right? And then you've got the South Bronx, which is like the roughest area in New York. And then you've got a little area of the South Bronx called Hunts Point, which is the roughest area in the roughest borough in New York City.
Right.
So, and it was alternative high school, so it was all for students who couldn't hack it in the regular schools.
Yeah, yeah.
Most of them, 90% had been arrested at some point.
Right.
A lot of them had their own kids. I remember doing a gym class, and it was a small class. There were like maybe 8 kids, and there were 5 girls, and 3 of them were sitting on the side because they were all pregnant, and they were 15, 16.
Wow.
But a lot of gangs, a lot of kids who had been shot.
Yeah.
A lot of kids who've since then are either in jail or who have been shot and killed.
What was one of the worst things because you have to navigate this, even though you're, a gym teacher at the time?
It was,
what was the toughest?
There were a few things. There was one time where there's one kid who was in a gang. I don't remember if he was in the Blood or Crips.
I mean, you run fast, but a gun travels fast.
I run fast. I can't run faster than a bullet.
Right.
He was maybe in the Bloods. The other guy was in the Crips in the school, and they kind of flashed signs at each other. I used to know all the gang signs from all that. And they said to me, one of the directors of the school said, Mr. Lee, can you walk this kid out after, because the other gang threatened to shoot him when he leaves school. I'm like, what are you, out of your mind? Like, no.
I don't think so.
Please. There was one time, so I would take the kids across the street to the park. There was a park right across from the school, because the school's an old factory, old converted factory. And I took them across, and there was a kid there who was a student with one of his friends. A lot of these kids want to look tough and act cool in front of their buddies. So he's out there with his buddy, and I'm with my students, and a couple of them are females. And this kid starts hitting on one of the girls. I'm like, listen, man, I'm running a class. You got to low. And the other kid comes up to me before me and is like, yo, Mr. Lee, we're not in school anymore. You better back up. And I don't know if he had a gun or something. And I just had to stand my ground. I'm like, you better back up. Luckily, we didn't fight.
You said that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
I'm like, just back away. So there was some time. Another time I was walking with kids back from the park, and there was a bunch of other kids walking the other way, and there was like a little scuffle, and then we left. And I found that one of my students he wasn't stabbed, but he got, the other kid had a knife and kind of sliced.
Jeez.
I'm like, why did you tell me? He's like, oh, no, Mr. Lee, it's no big deal. It happens all the time. I'm like, yeah, so it was interesting.
Yeah, because you talk about the commute, being like people being like zombies, but that is, I think I'd be stressed every single day.
I tell stories where they would, even though I'd park right in front of the school all the time. What I didn't know is like these local people, these crackheads, would come and steal your little blinking mirrors, your side lights, and all this stuff, and they kept stealing mine. And what you would do is when I would come back to school the next day, Jeremy, I couldn't make this up.
This is crazy.
I would jump back to school the next day.
Like Breaking Bad stuff here, yeah.
As I pull up to the light, the guy would be like, yo, I can't do the whistle. And he'd pull me over, and they'd have these little garages, these one garage thing. And he'd go, yo, come here, you're missing your side lights. I drive around. He's like, oh, what is that? And 79 Acura. All right, hold on, I got that. And I swear to God, Jeremy, he'd go into his garage, come out with a garbage bag.
Wow.
A garbage bag filled with lights, and he'd basically sell me like mine back. And they did, after and it's getting expensive. I'm like, man, I wasn't making any money. Then they started stealing my side view mirrors. And
how do you even deter them from doing that? I mean,
so here's what we did. I said, look, I can't afford to keep getting new mirrors. He's like, all right, I got you covered. He's like, sit in your seat. So I sit back in my seat, and he takes a mirror, traces out with a pen, cuts it out, and glues it. So you can't now rotate the mirror. He's like, all right, good. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, well, what if someone else wants to drive my car? You can't rotate. He's like, oh, no one else can drive your car. It's yours. So there you go. So I'm like, I think I need to start doing my own thing full time and maybe not come to the school anymore.
So what wisdom do you impart on your kids? I mean, because you've seen like the worst of the worst neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Right?
I tell them to, first of all, really, really appreciate what you have. And now as they're getting older, so my oldest one, you and I are both Jewish. She's having her bat mitzvah, and she has to do a mitzvah project. So she goes into this area of South Norwalk, which is the next town, which is not a good area. And she works in a homeless shelter with kids who are homeless. So she goes after school, like once a week, and works with those kids and helps and does activities and stuff. So I think it just shows her that not everyone lives.
Gives her some perspective.
Yeah, because we always want, look, we want to live in a nice neighborhood and great schools, and it's like fantasy work, like fantasy. Like if anyone comes into New Canaan, Connecticut, they walk around like, oh my God, like I've never seen anything. Every car is a Mercedes or BMW, and everything's so nice and clean. But it's like a little bubble. So I want them to
Right.
understand other things. And I tell stories all the time about the kids I used to work with. And
Yeah.
I just really want them to appreciate what they have.
What's stuff that you try and instill on them that they get sick of hearing? Like, Dad, we already know that. You keep repeating it. What's things that just I picture like John Wooden, the coach, just repeating things. What wisdom like that do you just repeat over and over that they're sick of by now?
I always talk about just being a good person, like being a mensch, like doing the right thing, being friendly. When you see someone's parents, hi, Mr. Smith, nice to see you. Hi, Mrs. Smith. Just being personable, because it's so important, and to feel good about yourself and love yourself. And great, I want you to study. I want you to work hard. I want you to get good grades, but that's not everything. It's almost kind of like my wife is like all about the grades. She does the work with them, and I'm like this little softer, more personal development stuff. But I talk about that a lot. And always being kind to other people and being a good citizen, like going out and helping others, being charitable, but having fun. Like that's the thing too. They know, like, we're gonna have fun. I wrestle with my kids. We're active, but it's not always work. Like there's time. Like family is the most important thing. So we love at night, like if they don't have work or it's a Friday or Saturday night, like all of us getting on the couch and watching a movie together, and that important kind of being together.
Yeah. Ryan, talk about your wife's influence on the business. She's been there since the very, very beginning. Mm-hmm. I'm sure she's had a huge influence on your business trajectory too.
She is. She's got a PhD in psychology. She's very, very smart. She keeps me grounded. We've been together since college.
Wow.
So we've been together since we're like 19 or 20. So she's been with me at the beginning. And even when we were graduating, I said, Janet, look, if we're going to be together, I just want to let you know I'm never going to make a lot of money. Like maybe I'll make 40 grand, but that's it. And she's like, it doesn't matter. So I knew that's a keeper.
How does she keep you grounded? What does she do?
I tend to, I used to have no filter at all. I still don't have much of a filter, but I have some. I used to have zero filter. Like I would say anything that's on my mind. And she's the opposite. She's like kind of the conservative, like, Ryan, think before you speak. Maybe you shouldn't say that. And there were times when I was kind of going off the rails. Like I was traveling a lot. I was going to all these events. I'd stay out.
Like business-related stuff.
Yeah. And all business stuff, speaking at events, kind of drinking my own Kool-Aid, making more inappropriate sexual reference. Like it just, I was saying things and doing things that were just not
who you are.
Right. Yeah. I was in this, I felt like I'm in high school, like with the wrong crowd, and it wasn't me. And she's like, let's stop being an ass. Like if I would do something on Facebook, write something, she'd be like, you shouldn't have said that. I'm like, you know what, you're right. Let me take that down. So just keeping me grounded and, definitely the more conservative side of me. And I always think about, I'm like, what would Janet say if I wrote this email or did this post?
Right.
Is this borderline? Is this too racy? Is it too sexist? Like whatever that thing is, and just be a good, because she's this like superhuman person. She was president of the PTC. Everyone who knows her is just like, how does she do that? How does she have 4 kids and do all this stuff? And I try to kind of be a little bit more like her.
So, part of the perspective comes from too. You hit a rough health patch a couple years back. Talk about that a little bit, and how you handled that, because in the midst of living life and working, and that stuff comes up for people.
Yeah, it was. I was taking on too much. Things were getting stressful. I was launching new companies and doing new partnerships, and some things would work great, some things would be a disaster. Staying out late, traveling too much, not eating as well, just everything kind of happened, and I started getting pain in my feet. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like, I went to an orthopedic guy, I went to a podiatrist, I went to, you name the doctor, especially I went to, they kept taking x-rays after, no one could figure out what was wrong. I finally went to a rheumatologist, and immediately he looked at me, my toes were swollen, my fingers were swollen, everything. He's like, oh, you definitely have an autoimmune. And he's like, and while you cannot 100% diagnose this, he's like, based on what you have, based on your blood test, you have psoriatic arthritis, which is like an autoimmune thing. And he said, so what we're going to do is we're going to put you on methotrexate, which, Jeremy, you're a doctor. It's a chemo drug.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what do you mean it's chemo? I'm like, chemo? He's like, yeah. I'm like, well, He's like, well, you're going to have to be on it. We're going to have to come in every week for blood tests. He's like, I said, but doesn't that lower your immune? Isn't that? He's like, yeah. He's like, and we've talked about this before we started recording. He's like, just make sure you're not near any, not surrounded by like people with germs. I'm like, what are you talking? I got 4 kids.
Right.
Are you out of your effing mind? I said, is there any other option?
Yeah.
He's like, no, that's it. I said, so you're telling me, Doc, every person who comes in, and I said this to him straight to his face, you're telling me every single patient you have that has this, you put him on methotrexate, he goes, 100%. I'm like, but this is not, I said, this is a symptom of something. This isn't, you're just treating. Right. He's like, no one knows.
Because obviously you have a health background. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, look, I know a little bit what I'm talking about. I said, I'm just going to ask you. He's like, go get a second opinion, then come back. I said, all right. So I went to like a naturopath, and I went to 2 naturopaths, and they both said the same thing. Let's change your diet. Let's reduce your stress. Let's do other stuff. And you'll start. And I immediately, I reduced, at first I did an elimination of gluten, sugar, and dairy. And right away, like, oh my God, Jeremy, it was so bad. I couldn't snap my fingers.
Really?
It hurt that much. And now, I finally started feeling better, and gradually, and now like I'm back, I'm healed. I never went on the drugs. I just try to watch what I eat. I find if I'm under stress or if I'm eating stuff that's like if I have a lot of pizza, like I'll feel it the next day. So I'm just monitoring that. Yeah. I'm back. I've been exercising. I'm back at full strength. Even tonight, I have my first ever tennis match. We belong to a tennis club, and we're playing doubles, and I'm playing with the club versus another club. They have no idea what they're in for because I'm not a very good player. I play like once a year. So I told my buddy.
You took lessons, I think, didn't you?
I said, look, I'm going to give it 100%. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to go all out. So we'll see. But the fact that I do it feels great.
So the biggest difference was the dietary changes? That's what made all the difference for you?
I think for me, it was dietary and the stress reduction.
Yeah.
I sold off some companies. I closed down some others. And I'm just like really focused on one thing, on Freedym, and just kind of just doing that. And it feels so much better. Yeah. And just taking it easy. I don't have to take on so much. I was always striving because it's funny. You see now the big trends, Jeremy. Everything. What's the big word? Hustle. You got to hustle. You got to hustle 24/7. You got to keep hustling, hustle. Yeah. And for what? Like now, I believe in hustle, but I call it smart hustle. Yeah. So I'll get up early and I'll work for a few hours, hard, straight, very focused on my biggest movers, the biggest things that have the most impact on my business. For me, it's email. But I don't do it 24 hours a day. When I come home, I told my wife I'm going to work from 7 to 3, whatever that is, and then when I'm home, my computer's off, my phone's off, and I'm with you and the kids, and that's work for me. Just not taking. And how much do you really need? How much do you need to be happy and satisfied? I don't care about scaling to $1 billion. Yeah. I really don't need $1 billion. I don't want to be poor. I like making money. I like the stuff money can do. I like sitting here outside talking to guys like you, but and getting attacked by
a bee.
Getting attacked by bees.
I would run and jump. I would run and jump in the pool. Personally.
Yeah, I've been stung many times, so it doesn't even bother me at this point. But
it's the first time an InspiredInsider.com interview someone's been stung on camera. If that happens,
yeah, it didn't actually sting me. Okay. Just brushed by, but I did just kind of flip back. What the hell was that? Is that going to be the screenshot?
Yeah. Exactly.
So I looked very smooth on that, but I don't even know what the hell.
No, so with that, you basically reevaluated not just your health stuff, but you streamlined your business stuff. So you cut out the excess fat and really focused on what was most important at that time from a business perspective too.
Yeah, from obviously personal life. So I didn't travel to speak for like almost 5 years.
Yeah.
I just said, that's it. I'm done. It's not good for me, for my health, for my family, for my marriage.
Yeah.
I don't want to miss any activities for my kids. So I just stopped. I turned out every opportunity. Trimming the fat there. Trimming the fat with the number of businesses I run. Just focused on this one thing. And then trimming the fat in so by focusing on the one business and focusing on one thing, it made my day much easier and more focused because now I don't have to think about managing and balancing 100 different things. It's like, here's one thing, here's the number one mover for my business, the number one productivity thing I should be doing, boom, and just do that. It just makes it much, and you get a lot more momentum.
Yeah. Ryan, what's interesting for me was you didn't travel for a while, but recently you did speak at Dan Meredith's event in the UK. And what I found interesting is I love your stuff. I've been following you forever. Study your stuff, was in one of your mastermind groups because I respect you so much. And I also love Gary Vee's stuff. And you were both speaking at this event, and you both, I don't know if you'd say, but it's almost completely opposite perspectives in certain avenues. Like, what was your take on that? Speaking alongside Gary Vee in a boxing ring, and you kind of different messages.
We have, and I like Gary. I've known him for a long time.
Yeah.
We have some similarities.
Yeah.
We absolutely have some similarities. Especially our background is eerily similar. You know, both Jewish from almost in the same town, like a few miles apart. Our first business was both baseball card businesses as kids.
Right.
Like, we have very similar backgrounds. I do believe in hard work, right? I believe.
I'm not trying to pit you against them. I'm just curious of the perspective.
But I think where we veer off, he's like, you know, you got to hustle your face off and you got to keep working. I think now we just divide up our time differently. So I think the last time Gary talked about it was, I think he says he basically works from 6 or 7 in the morning to 11 o'clock every single day. And then the weekends are with his family. Yeah. So that's the way he divides it.
Yeah.
And if that works for him, that works for him. If that works for his family, great, good. For me, I don't do that. I work from 7 in the morning to like 3 o'clock, and then I coach baseball like I do all the other stuff. Gary's more motivated. Like he's even said publicly many times, I'm not speaking out of school, that he wants to buy the Jets.
Right.
Oh, that's
for
his
sure.
thing.
Oh, yeah.
And he has a media company that has hundreds and hundreds of employees, and I get it. And cool, man. Gary, I hope he buys the Jets. Maybe I can get some good tickets. But I have no desire to buy the Jets.
Right.
I have no desire to have a $500 million company and 500 or 600 employees. Zero. That has zero interest to me. You know what I like? Honestly, I like this. And right after this, and you and we had to move this interview up because in an hour I'm picking up my kid. It's one of the last days of school. She's walking to town with her friends, and then I'm going to drive her. So I like that. So I'm okay taking less, and really enjoying every minute. I'm not saying Gary doesn't enjoy every minute. Yeah. I know he loves what he does. I know he loves speaking, and there's nothing that he'd rather do. And when I'm working and when I'm in the zone, I love it. I love getting up in the morning. I really do. I love getting up in the morning and driving to the coffee shop and working and writing and talking to all my tribe members. I love it. I'm in the zone. Time flies. But I also, as much as I love that, I also love being with my family.
Yeah.
And I love being with my kids and my wife, and I love going to the club and playing tennis. I love that stuff. So that works for me. Everyone is different. There might be people watching this who have no family and they just love work. They're so engrossed with it. That's all they want to do. And if you're happy, good. That's all I want is for my people, my tribe, and my clients and members to be happy.
Yeah.
And if going to $1 billion makes you happy and building a big business, great. If I call this a lifestyle business, right? I'm a lifestyle entrepreneur, and I'm okay scaling back because it's not always about being bigger for me.
Right.
So Gary's and there's a lot of stuff that I agree with Gary, especially the social media stuff that he talks about. We just differ in time allocation. That's it.
Yeah.
And I don't curse as much as him.
No, not anymore. Talk about Freedym. Freedym.com. What gave you the idea to start Freedym?
Look, I'm not perfect, Jeremy. As I know it's hard to believe.
It's hard to
believe. I know
it's
shocking. I know it.
You just destroyed my world. No.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, perfect. So I was bouncing around. I would do a group here, do a group there, do a product, and I just felt like I was spinning my wheels.
It wasn't as cohesive, you mean?
Yeah, it just wasn't. And I'm like, I just want something. I want a brand. I want something that it's just not just Ryan and Ryan Lee. Like, I want something that's a little bit beyond just me and something I could do that grows beyond me. I just came up, I'm always talking to my clients about what are the benefits of what you sell? Why are people going to buy or invest in you? And for me, it was never about teaching people how to make money or the fancy cars and the big boat. If you want that, great. I'm not into that flashy shit. But it was always about the freedom.
Yeah.
And I'm looking, and I'll never forget, my wife and I were on vacation. My kids are getting ready to showering. And I'm just like, freedom. I'm like, freedom is it. That's really what it's about. And I just started going, I just went to GoDaddy. I'm like typing in freedom, all the different kind of unique spellings. And all my kids, I have 4 kids, my 3 girls, their names are Lauren, Jordan, and Cameron, all with a Y-N.
Huh.
And I'm like, why? Freedym, FREEDYM.com. And it was available. I'm like, really? I typed it again just to make sure. I'm like, this actually is a pretty good domain name.
Yeah.
And I bought it. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. And I kind of played around with it a lot. And I'm like, I went back. I'm like, as I was reevaluating my business and what I want to do, I came back to, and this is a lesson for all of you. Yeah. Look back where you've had the wins, where you've had the big successes. For me, my first big success was the membership site.
Yeah.
What I was
good at you had the Continuity Summit. I mean, you were teaching people continuity.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's my thing. That was my, and I went, and I was good at leading people. I'm good at getting people motivated. I'm good at teaching and breaking down, giving them specific strategies. I'm like, why not just do this for the masses? Why not do this and build it under the Freedym brand and put all my energy? Yeah. And then, so that's what it became. And the inspiration for the whole Netflix thing, I'm always looking outside of my industry, seeing what's different. What do I like? And I'm, we have the Roku box, and my kids like Netflix and Hulu, and I'm looking and the way it looks and the layout. I'm like, why can't I build that for lifestyle entrepreneurs? Yeah. And that's what we've done. And we had a new training, Jeremy, every single day. And
every day.
And with guys like you, who we said, Jeremy, can we, like, you came up to me and said, look, I have this great training program. I want to gift it to your members. So now we have your training program within our community. Yeah. So we have all this training, and we have the community. And coaching, so it's all like in one. And I wanted to make it an absolute no-brainer, so it's $1 a day. That's the thing. If you can't invest $1 a day, I don't know what I can do for you. Right. But that's the idea. That's the concept. Yeah. And it's going really, really well. Members love it. Retention is at an all-time high. People keep referring other members, and I'm having fun.
How has it evolved, like from the beginning idea to what it is now? How has it changed? Because I know you're always iterating. You're always changing and making improvements. Yeah.
First version was, I said, it's Freedym. It's going to be, I said, let me kind of come back to where I started on this kind of journey towards being introspective. And I went back to health and fitness professionals. I said, Freedym's going to be for health and fitness professionals. Yeah. And it was a little bit different, the structure of it. We updated it once a week. We had our forum within the site. It wasn't on a Facebook group, so it wasn't quite as interactive. Yeah. And you know what, Jeremy? It was going well. People liked it. The feedback was good. But it wasn't great. It was, people said it was great, but it wasn't what I felt was like, this is deep. Yeah.
You weren't hitting the masses. Do you think that's what was bothering you?
I don't know. You know what it was? Because I'd been I left the fitness industry for so long, and so many of my people were not fitness as well. And everyone's like, and people started joining this who were not fitness professionals. Yeah. And I'm like, and I almost couldn't keep them out. I'm like, you know what? Let me just open it up. Yeah, let me open it up, and let me change the whole structure of it, because it's good.
I love hearing this story of how it evolved, because I mean, if you look at Facebook, the same thing, right? I mean, it just started as a college campus. It wasn't for everyone,
right? And it wasn't even for, it was just for Harvard.
Yeah,
and
right.
Then, and it's funny because I use that example a lot, Jeremy, when I teach. It was, everyone says, well, Facebook's for everyone, but it was for Harvard, and then for Ivy, and then for all colleges, then for high school, then for the masses. Right. So for me, it was almost like health and fitness. I kind of thought I'd stay there, but I wasn't 100% sure. And then I said, you know what, let's open it up. And changing the structure of it so it wasn't just a once a week. I said, how can I deliver something that no one in their right mind would ever try to duplicate? No one's going to try to compete. Because there's no one on I don't care how good you are, you're not doing one training a day. You're not. And we are.
Yeah. I didn't know that until you just said that now. And I'm just, in my mind, I'm thinking, are you crazy? One training a day? How do you even do that?
I don't know. But members are just, they come in and they're blown away, and they're like, I can't believe you're doing all this. Like, what's the catch? How is it only $1 a day? Like, is there like some big upset? I'm like, no, this is it. And the way I look at it is, I could give them tremendous value. I can help hundreds of thousands of people. And on a selfish note, I could build a really nice business too. Because if you think about it, if you have 30,000 members at $30 a pop, $30 a month for 30,000 members, it's $900,000 a month. Could live a pretty good life on that.
For sure.
So, it's, from a business perspective, it's good for me, for my family, for my sanity. I'm focused on one thing, and it's great for the members because I put all my time and I put the money back in, and we build more resources and keep doing more stuff.
What are some of the most popular courses in Freedym?
People love the case studies.
Yeah.
They love case studies.
Which case study do people resonate with?
They like the ones, I still have a lot of people who follow me because of recurring revenue. Yeah. It's funny, as I'm talking, I saw my wife just walk by and said, I still people follow me because of that. So I have the case studies where people have built memberships and communities from nothing. So one that's really popular is one of my guys, Jason, is a nutritionist, and he built I coached him through. He built a private Facebook group, a paid group, at $97 a month for nutrition. And within his first, I think, 1 or 2 weeks, he had 80 members.
Wow.
Well, that doesn't sound like a lot, but 80 at 97 bucks,
It's
almost
$100,000.
Yeah, that's a six-figure business. And he didn't have a big list. He had a very small list, and he didn't do any kind of launch. He didn't have affiliates or JVs. He develops relationships like I teach him, and he just said, "Oh, by the way, here we go. This is the new thing." And so we did a video where I interviewed him. It wasn't it, but it was literally just looking at the screen. Show me the emails you sent.
Right.
Show me how you manage it, how you run this, and
Like
people
behind the scenes.
That's all we do. Because I'm you know me, Jeremy. I'm the no fluff, the no bull. I don't care about the 4 hours. So just show me how you did it. And now I know this story is different. This show is different because we talk about the story, which is great.
Yeah.
But we're just like 100% tactical. Here's what he did. Here's how he did it. So people love the real world case studies, especially showing people how they built a business online that has nothing to do with make money. Because it's one thing to say, "Oh, I had a membership, people paying $97 a month. What do you teach?" I teach them how to charge $97 a month. Well, of course, a-hole. But if you do it in nutrition, and I have a guy who does the same thing with triathletes. Another guy has cyclists. Another guy's doing it for like men and self-esteem. So you could do it for anything. So I love that. And then all of our courses, I did a full day training where people pay $5,000 just to learn about continuity. I put that whole workshop on there. I did this whole course.
You have so much content. I mean, from all your summits.
I still haven't even released like a fraction of it. Even the .com Expo, which was like 40 hours of training, is not even all in there yet. So we're always the whole Freedym Fest, the first one we did, all of that content's been put in there.
And Daymond John spoke at that one, right?
Big D.
Yeah. So how did that come about? How did you decide to have him come?
I wanted a keynote. I wanted someone who I think would have some name recognition.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, Daymond John. I know he's New York, so he's not that far from Connecticut where I did it. There was like, hey, want Daymond to speak? Contact us. I contacted him. I hit it off with his right-hand man. And that was it. They said, okay, here's, if you want Daymond, it's going to be keynote. Here's the price. I paid the price. And there you go, Daymond John on stage. He was going to do a whole talk. I said, you know what? Forget the talk, Daymond. Just sit down on stage with me, and let's just do it. By the way, funny story about Daymond.
I knew you'd have a funny story.
Oh yeah, I'm notoriously frugal. I don't like to spend a lot of money. I don't want to spend. If I'm going to spend money, I want to put it into the member experience.
Right.
So Daymond was like in his upstate New York house, and part of the contract was, okay, we'll send a car for Daymond. Now, whenever I would go to the airport, I always use this guy, Jan. I met Jan at the YMCA. Jan is he's probably about 6'3" Polish guy. He looks like he's like he could break you
like
in
a
half.
mafia or something.
And he's like, "Hello, Ryan." So I sent Jan to go get Daymond because he's like $50 cheaper than a limo or $100 cheaper. So I'm in between on his break, and Daymond's guy is already at my event. He goes, "Hey, Ryan, come here." He's like, Daymond just called me, and he said there's a guy who is like, like this Polish guy. He thinks he's in like the Polish mafia, and he picked him up in a soccer mom van. Is this the right guy? I said, yes, that's him. So when Daymond came, he's like, Ryan, just meet me in the parking lot. He's like, I can't roll up in the soccer van. He's like, what are you doing to me? And he's like, yeah, I was scared to call because I didn't know if he was going to hear me and like pull me over and leave me in a ditch. Like, you know what, Daymond? All right, I'll take care of Jan, and then driving you back home, I'll make sure I get you the limo. So that was the so I saved like 100. That's the Daymond John story.
I love that. So Ryan, how do you decide to stop doing one thing and start another? Because you're doing something, for instance, like your health stuff that's successful, that's doing well, like the Facebook group, right? I was in it. It's doing well. How hard is that for you to decide to shut that down? Because you could have easily just kept it going or other things going. Talk about your thought process behind focusing as opposed to kind of keeping those up and running.
It's hard. It's something I've struggled with. I still continue to struggle a little bit with it. I'm a lot better than I was. There's a lot of people like me, Jeremy, who have this kind of entrepreneurial ADD, we'll call it, and just can't stop creating and love it and love just doing new things. And when I get bored, it's really hard to keep me engaged. And I've probably sacrificed millions of dollars over the year by just shutting things down. Not
focusing or shutting it down.
It's been challenging for me. It really has.
So how'd you do it this time? Because it seems like you're really focused right now.
Because Freedym allows me the ability to still it has everything I'm good at, the membership, the leadership, all that stuff. But it also allows me to have the flexibility in terms of front end, in terms of marketing and doing different webinars and doing different training. And we're going to do an online summit that's going to lead people in. Every time I'm doing case studies, it allows me to kind of still use that creativity. So it's still giving me that creative outlet and focusing on my strengths as well. But look, even today, I mapped out I spent 2 hours, which I shouldn't have, looking at some other newsletters I want to create. So I struggle with it daily.
Yeah.
I try to take my strengths and kind of go with.
Yeah.
I
ask selfishly because I do struggle with that too. So I'm curious how you curtail your ADD a little bit.
I'll go with it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because if I just try to say, you know what, I'm not even going to think about it. Forget it. I'm not even doing it. I'm not happy, and I feel like I feel a little off.
You'll entertain it for a little bit.
I'll entertain it for a little. So I have for me.
Then you'll call Brian Kurtz and he'll yell at you.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll entertain it for a little bit. So I spent an hour or two today kind of sketching out things, what it would look like. Even started creating a little sales page for it. And then I'll just put it away. But I do entertain it a little bit. If it's really, really good, maybe it's something I'll explore. But I know if I'm going to explore now, I'm not doing it myself. I'll be maybe the idea guy.
Yeah.
And I'm going to hire someone and let them run it as their own kind of business within a business.
Yeah. What's on the horizon right now for Freedym? I know you had a Freedym Fest last year. I don't know if you have another one. What else
We were planning to do one, but it's going to be on hold for a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to make it an online event. I think we're going to do Freedym Fest. Like, it's going to be an online summit, maybe 100 speakers. Like, really, if I'm going to do something, I'm going big.
Yeah.
Continuing to just every day, if we continue to add members every day, and the retention right now is 95, 96%.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It just continues to grow, and people love it, and they're referring other members. So I'm pretty content. We have I said 30,000 members before. I said that because that's kind of my goal to get to soon. So I kind of have a number that I'm going for.
Yeah.
Not that once I get to 30,000, I'm stopping.
Right.
I want to keep going because I love impacting lives. Yeah. Big dream. I would eventually love to have an event that has 10, 15,000 people, like in a stadium. That would be cool. So we'll see.
Talk about, people want to grow their online business and membership. What are some ways that you're going to execute on to get to the 30,000? What do you think is going to work that other people could be doing for themselves too?
We try everything, right?
Yeah.
We try all different types. Honestly, the big thing, Jeremy, is the paid traffic. When you can get paid traffic to work, and you could not even, if you could just break even on paid traffic, you're a millionaire.
Yeah.
You're a million. If you have even half decent back end, you are literally a millionaire. But so few people either take the time to learn it, or they're like, oh, I just want to set one site up and never touch it again, and that's not reality.
Yeah.
When you can get paid traffic, you can keep scaling and scaling, and sky's the limit.
Yeah.
It really is. That's the key, and it's something I wish I would have really, really learned years ago.
What's working these days with paid traffic that people should be looking at?
We're doing, even with paid traffic, we're doing paid traffic to webinars, and webinars to sell a membership. Yeah, we're having some webinars where we're not only breaking even, we're making money on the front, and then everything after that's recurring. So we found tremendous success. You just have to be good. I think the more you speak, the more you're comfortable, the more you do interviews, the better you get at this stuff.
Yeah.
That's working really well for us.
Is it a live webinar, or is it like an evergreen?
Both. We're doing both. Right now we're back to doing live. I'll tell you this, Jeremy.
Just works better.
Nothing converses as well as live.
Really?
It just doesn't. Yes, it actually takes time. But here's the thing. It's like, well, you actually have to do the webinar. Yeah, but you know what? If you do a webinar and you get 100 members at $300 at $30 a month, it's $3,000 a month. It's worth an hour, don't you think?
Right, for sure.
And most people are just so close-minded, or they're not living in reality. They think that I'm going to set something up and I'm going to make millions of dollars, and I'm sometimes I throw a little cold water on them. But I want to be realistic, and I'm never going to overpromise. I'm never going to say that, look, you sign up with me and you're going to be making $1 million a year within 6. It's just not real. It's not realistic.
Right. Yeah. What's a big success story you've seen come out of Freedym so far? Because I don't know, people are posting on Facebook. Because
there's lots of I don't know if anyone yet, because it's still new. Like
Yeah.
we're only really 6 months into this.
Or maybe they can go back because you've coached a lot of
Oh yeah.
entrepreneurs.
But in Freedym already, we've like
Yeah.
the guy I interviewed for the case study right before. So he said, "Oh, Brian, by the way, based on that thing you said 2 days ago, I just made another $2,000."
Yeah.
Those, baseball terminology, lots and lots of singles, lots of doubles.
Yeah.
In terms of going back
Yeah.
over the course, I mean, people in the
Well,
fitness
that pays for membership for like
Yeah,
6 years. So
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, people like Mike Geary, who's done 8 figures, Elliot Hulse, who does 7 figures. There's lots and lots of people who said they were influenced by my training, by my coaching. I mean, I've done coaching calls with everyone from like Marie Forleo to Tim Ferriss, Lewis. So Ramit Sethi, like I've talked to everyone about coaching and recurring revenue. So I wouldn't say they're necessarily my students, but there've been a lot of people who've been through trainings over the years.
Talk about the speed coaching.
So
Because what I love
yeah.
about the speed coaching is in a very short period of time, you kind of get to the guts and the essence.
Yeah.
What kind of questions do you ask? What do you do in the speed coaching?
So with speed coaching, what I'll do is I'll open up every once in a while. I'll say, okay, 15 minutes with me on Skype or phone, whatever it is, and we just dive right in. That's it. This isn't a strategy session where it's a disguised sales call. It's literally coaching, and we've had things where I've completely transformed their business. I mean, completely transformed. A lot of times, so if they're already doing well, if they're already making 6 and they haven't gotten over the barrier to 7 yet, a lot of times it's me just kind of honing in on their messaging or their focus and saying, okay, here's your numbers here. Here's your numbers on this promotion. Let's forget this. Let's do this and let's make this tweak. And like, oh my God, that was worth $1 million.
Yeah.
Then there's people who have been just kind of spinning their wheels for years. And I get into like the heart of what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Here's your hook. Here's your brand. Here's your next step.
You probably can't name names or anything, but what was one of those transformations? So people get an idea of, maybe hearing that will help them transform whatever they're doing.
I mean, God, there's a million of them because I've done so many of these. So I'll think of someone recent. All right, so I did a call with this woman, Shannon, recently, who's a fitness professional, been a fitness professional for years, has been in every coaching group that other people have done and kind of spinning her wheels. And by the end of it, I came up with, okay, forget all that stuff, because she's like, I don't know, do I do boxing, do I do this? I said, forget that. Here's your brand. It's going to be under your name, and here's the first product you're going to do.
Right.
It's going to be here. This is going to be the lead product, and then we're going to map out 2 or 3 other products down the road. Let's put that to the side for now. Here's your brand. Everything is coming under this umbrella. Here's the first product. Yeah. And she's like, oh my God. And as I'm hanging up, the reason I brought her up, because this was like a week or 2 ago, she's like, I love you, Ryan. Which is really cool. And then one guy I did a call for, what the heck was it we were working on? But he said, because we were talking about his offer. His offer was muddled. He had 3 levels of membership. One was like 47 or 97 or 197. It was crazy. I said, forget that. Here are the 2 levels you're going to do. Yeah. Here's the price for this one. Here's the price for this one. Here's exactly what you're going to include. And then on this, so we do Skype. And then after we hung up, he wrote, "You are the greatest person in the world." So, how many other guys can get to do that? Get to make money, help people, and have people literally shout out, "I love you," or "You're the greatest person in the world."
What was it about the offer that you clarified or simplified? Because I feel like people do confuse their offer. They make it.
Well, he had too many things, and it was too much of a decision. I'm like, well, do I get this? He's like, well, you could have unlimited coaching and this, but only 1 call, and then you could have 2 calls, and it's like, well, what's the difference? And you didn't know what to do. Yeah. So I said, there's a guy, Sean D'Souza, who I've talked to before, and I've interviewed him for one of my podcasts. Yeah. He's a really interesting philosophy of you just have 2 prices. You have, here's this thing, right? You get A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Here's the other thing. You get A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but you just add 1 extra thing. And you call it the bonus. So this is gold. This is gold plus bonus.
So it's very simple.
And a very, very small price increase. So you get A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Oh, really?
Or $27 a month, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, plus this bonus for $29 a month. And that's it. And it's very, very cool. So that was a strategy we went for him for his business.
Yeah, I love that.
See, we're getting tactical, Jeremy. Come on!
We'll do both. I like the tactics. Since it's Inspired Insider, Ryan, I always like to ask the lowest point for you business-wise and how you push through.
Lowest point business-wise. A couple of years ago, I did something that was probably I shouldn't have done it. I was doing there was a trainer that I knew, and I'm not going to say his name, but he worked with a very famous TV personality too. And I figured because of that, and I like this trainer, he's energetic. I'm like, because of that, I think we could build a whole platform around him. And I partnered with a guy who was one of my clients, who's a really great traffic guy, and we probably spent each almost $100,000.
Wow.
On the stuff, and we spent like 10 grand with programming, and then it didn't work, so we had to start over. And we, for like two and a half years, and then I brought on 2 guys. I said, look, come on as free interns, and then once we start making money, you'll get paid. And I couldn't get the damn thing to convert.
Why do you think?
First of all, this celebrity person started getting some bad press, so I think that hurt it. People didn't want to promote it. I don't know. We just could. It was, the copy was outside of my. It was more in the CPA network, which is cost per action, which is a little bit hypier. It was the
different copy style type of thing.
The very, very flashy, very aggressive, very hypey, lose 10 pounds in 10 days type of stuff. It just never felt really comfortable. Yeah. And I feel really badly because this trainer was a great guy, young kids, and was really depending on it. And it just, he had a big book deal. And they said with the book, he got this big book deal because he said, oh, we're going to get so many leads with this. And I feel like I let him down. I let my partner down. I let the other people down. And that was a bitter pill to swallow because I'm like, here I am, Ryan Lee. I could do anything. And what I learned from that, and that was another thing that kind of pushed me into Freedym, is like, enough of this. Like, enough of chasing. Too complicated. Getting a few things removed from where my real thing is. And I'm like, I can't do that again. And I let too many people down. So I'm like, I'm not taking up partners again. That was my last partnership. I'm never going to have a partner again. If I'm doing it my way, the way I know is going to work, what I'm good at. And I'll bring on team members and I'll make them part of the team, but I'm not partnering and dropping the ball and taking on too much anymore.
Yeah. On the flip side, the proudest moment. What's been one of the proudest business moments for you?
It's a great question. Well, I mean, look, financially, it was cool with our supplement company when we hit like 7 figures in a month.
Yeah, I want to hear about the supplement company. I have that written down here. You know, most people don't ask about it. Most people don't even know you do that or did that. Yeah.
I really don't talk about it too much. I don't love to
Why
talk
is that?
about it too much. Because, I started, so we have a couple of them. The first one I started as more of a back end for fitness professionals, and it went really, really well. We were the back end for all these big guys online.
It's amazing,
Yeah, and but so I took on, I had a guy that was one of my clients. I made him a partner, and we didn't always agree with the direction. They kind of wanted to spend a lot of money and time on the research and clinical studies, where I'm like, we need to put it back in marketing. I wasn't always present. I dropped the ball. I wasn't fully engaged. So I got a lot of people on. We did really well. But there was one of our top trainers left and competed directly against us, took all our main guys.
Wow.
Because he would do things and say things that we wouldn't say and do, make promises, and
it's cutthroat. It's pretty cutthroat.
And that's what it is. It's a cutthroat business. So I don't like it. I don't. So I'm never starting another supplement company. Right now we're working on exit plans for me. So some things I can, some things I can't talk about.
Yeah.
But it was a good experience. Had some big wins, had some big losses. Learned a lot. Learned that there's a lot of people who are going to say one thing and do another. Learn that I'm a trusting person.
Yeah.
But
naturally, you'll trust.
Here's what it taught me: that you can't rely on other people to generate your business. Because that first model, we were really an affiliate-driven business.
Yeah.
And we relied almost 100% on them. And once they stopped promoting, we're like, now what? That's why I'm like, we need to learn paid traffic. We need to generate our own customers. When you can do that, you become independent. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. It's scary, even if it's not an affiliate or if you're on a platform that's producing customers, like Amazon or whatever. You still don't have control.
Right. Even with and I like Kindle, and I was a big fan at the beginning. But what happened is it became so flooded that now if you had, because it's so common, like a paleo cookbook, right? There's 5,000 paleo cookbooks.
Right.
And now because there's so much so much competition. The prices that now they all sell for 99 cents. Amazon takes 30 cents. So you get like 75 cents. How many are you going to sell? The problem is there's not enough profit.
Right.
You don't get the customer name. There's not enough profit for you to go out and buy customers. So you're kind of just sitting back waiting for it. And it's some passive money. And some people, if you create enough of them, a couple $1,000 a month, absolutely. But it's changed.
Yeah.
So I will not do something now where I can't generate my own customers.
Yeah. So Ryan, you go from in that business, the nutritional business, 7 figures in a month, and you told your wife, "Listen, I'm not going to be making more than $40,000." What's the feeling? That was like a proud moment, even though right now you don't love the business, but it's still pretty remarkable what you did with it.
Yeah.
What were you thinking at the time? What was going through your head when you did the 7 figures in 1 month?
Like, wow. I still couldn't believe it. I'm like, I can't. Now, look, it wasn't like 7 figures in my pocket.
Right, I understand.
Right?
Yeah.
But it was still a lot of money.
Yeah. How do you celebrate now with wins?
Here's the thing. Like, I've never really been all about the money. Like, I don't know why. I don't know why it is. For me, it's always been more about the excitement of starting something new and starting a business. Right. And it's more about, that was a cool platform. But I don't, even
it comes and it passes. It doesn't, yeah.
Because here's the thing. Jeremy, when I say I don't spend any money on myself, I don't buy anything. This is a shirt my wife, when we went skiing, ski butternut, like, I'm wearing, shorts, I'm barefoot. Like, I don't care. I could care less. Yeah. I've never been motivated by the money and the commercial stuff. It never mattered to me whether I was happy when I was making 26 grand at the hospital.
Yeah.
And I'm happy if I'm making, 26 grand in a day. I don't know. I didn't go out and celebrate. I didn't buy anything special. Although it was the one thing that was pretty cool, because again, I do like to save. I'm conservative. Is when I went to get a different car, and my wife's like, "Oh, why don't you get a Range Rover?" I'm like, "I don't care. I want to just drive my Honda. Just get a Range." So I went in and just like, I look young. I look younger than I am. I think some people tell me that. I'm about to be 44.
I agree with that. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. I'm in my 40s. And I come in and this, you can tell this guy kind of thinks I'm like, oh, he's this young guy. And I'm like, all right, I'll take that one. He's like, all right, well, do we need five? I'm like, no, how much is it? I'll just write a check. He's like, what? And just writing a check, no lease, no nothing. Just here's a check. Here you go. Give me the keys. And just driving out 10 minutes later with a Range Rover was pretty cool. That was pretty cool.
It's a Freedym moment for sure.
Yeah, but we have our house is big enough for us. It's fine. We got property. We got privacy. We're in a great town, great schools. I'm. If you're not, I've learned long ago that if you're not happy, if you're not happy without money, you won't be happy with money. It just exaggerates who you are. So I've always been happy without money. I'm happy with money. If I lose it all, I'm still happy. Yeah. As long as really, Jeremy, as long as, I guess maybe working all those years at the hospital really had a profound impact on me, because as long as, my family's happy, as long as my kids are happy and healthy, I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care about the car. I don't care about anything.
Yeah.
So
speaking of, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's it.
Speaking of the, talk about the frugalness, right? So most people, there's $25,000 masterminds, and you're in a $25 mastermind. How did that start? How did you meet Brian Kurtz?
I became friends years ago with Michael Fishman, who runs a consumer health summit, and we would chat and we'd have lunch a couple times, and he's like, "Oh, you got to meet Brian Kurtz, such a great guy." And then I remember we went to Michael's house, and Brian came over, and we just hit it off right away. Yeah. And I knew Jim Quick was a guy who lived in Stanford as well. And I was sitting with Michael once. I said, "Why don't we form a little mastermind? Right. Just local guys, me, you, Brian, and Jim, and we'll meet, every couple months, and that's it." And that was how it formed. Yeah. And I came up with the whole $25 where Joe Polish has his 25K group. I'm like, Brian, first of all, I'm never spending $25,000 for anything, and let alone fly. And I told Joe this all the time. There's zero chance of me. I'm in Connecticut. He's on the other side of the country in Arizona. Right. I said there's zero chance. First of all, that I'm paying $25,000, and second, that I'm flying out there 3-4 times a year. It's never going to happen. So we had there. So our take is $25 because that's probably what it costs for us to each put in for breakfast.
Bagels, yeah.
Bagels, yeah. Although they all became gluten free. So that was the idea behind it.
Right.
But now that Jim and Brian moved to the West Coast, we do some Skype once in a while. But I am forming another group with a few other guys. No one knows about this. I'm not revealing their names. Very, very well known and successful. 2 are in New York City. 1 is near me in Connecticut. 2 in Connecticut, 2 in New York. There's 5 of us. And the idea was, though, it was all guys. And I think we're all in the 40s or late 30s or early 40s, and we all have kids. So it's something. And I called it. I love coming up with these names. I think I called it Super Dads or something. The Super Dad Mastermind, where it's because we're all in the same boat, and it's all about priorities. Because one of the guys in this group used to be in a mastermind with some very well-known internet marketers. I won't say their name, but it was 3 others and him, and he was the only one who had a kid, and they were all single.
Yeah.
And they're flying off to
different
here.
lifestyle.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to go to Asia and speak for a week. And he's like, I can't do that. Like, it was a lot of stuff they do and say. It's different when you have kids. You're a dad, you're family.
Yeah.
So it's 5 of us. We're all dads. We're all in the same boat. So that's kind of cool. So I'm a big fan of forming.
What's the best thing that came out of the $25 mastermind that you remember? Like a big breakthrough someone had?
Well, there's been 1 or 2, but unfortunately, I don't want to hold things back, but I can't.
Yeah, no, that's cool. If it's not you can't talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, we always say that whatever happens in $25 stays in $25. So
it's like Vegas.
Yeah, exactly. So I can't out other people.
What about for you? Any
for me?
Because I know, what's interesting about that peer group is you really hold each other accountable. So I'm sure they really hold you to the fire too.
They do. And now, because I was the guy that every month I come there, I'd come up with a different, this is it, this is what I'm doing, and then the next month it was something else. So I feel like such a hypocrite because I said, now this is what I'm doing, and if I come back to them and say, I'm not doing it anymore, they'll be like, Ryan, you said you're going to focus on it. So it does. It really holds my feet to the fire and holds me accountable.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for them, and we've all become such good friends.
Yeah.
They're like brothers.
So, Ryan, I appreciate your time. This has been awesome. I have one last question. Before I ask it, where should people check out online? They should just go to freedym.com, FREEDYM.
M.com. You can go to ryanlee.com as well. Get on my list. I also I update it. I email almost every day. You're going to get lots of tactics. You're going to get some stories. You're going to get some fun. Follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/RyanLeeFan. I do some unannounced live Facebook Q&A. So come on in.
Yeah.
We'll have some fun.
So last question, Ryan. Some ideas you can give away that you're not going to be able to execute on because you're focused on freedom. What are some, because you're always an idea person. You're always coming out with great ideas. I'm wondering, what are a few right now that you're like, this is going to be big. I don't have time for it, but if someone were just to do this would be awesome.
Well, there's one. The one that I was working on this morning is big, but I'm not giving that away because I think I'm going to do it. No way. I do execute on a lot of stuff. I'll say this. Okay, the model that I'm doing, this whole Netflix thing.
Yeah.
There's opportunities in many markets for that. There's opportunities. There's opportunities to go into any right market and just dominate. There really is.
Yeah, because I ask because you see trends. I mean, you do trends before, like the continuity. I mean, you name it. You've been doing it, and then it kind of grows from there. So I'm just wondering what you saw as big.
I think the big thing is with the email, with the communication, is getting away from trying to sell so hard and doing these short, daily, educational, edutainment type things, building the relationships, and offering a really soft sell on the back, especially some type of recurring revenue.
Yeah.
I see print newsletters. I think they're going to make a comeback.
Print newsletters.
Yeah, I think print newsletters are going to make a comeback. I think there's going to be a segment of the market that's like they don't want to be online all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, the millennials are like, oh, everyone millennial. But I'm telling you, there's still, if you go to the beach, there's still people reading stuff. There's still something about getting it in the mail. And now it's so special, so different. I think the people who understand that are going to have there's going to be some fun things to play with.
Yeah.
I'm looking to do some fun things.
Yeah. Ryan, thank you. And thank you. You are part of the reason responsible for the name Inspired Insider through our coaching session. So
I remember you and I spending 4 or 5 sessions going back and forth with names.
Yes.
I remember that. So I'm glad, and it's so cool to see what you're doing and all the great stuff. So keep up the great work.
Yeah.
And thanks for having me. It was my honor.
Everyone check out freedym.com. Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Jeremy.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like 100 grand.